Hi, welcome to Good Mom, Bad Mom. This is Danielle, aka the Bad Mom.
And this is Jennifer, aka the Good Mom.
Today we are talking about lifestyle differences. So, how lifestyle differences shape parenting, friendships, and everything in between.
You'd probably be surprised to know that we're best friends, but on paper, we don't actually do a lot of things the same at all.
Not at all.
And you don't have to live the same life to be friends. So let's show you how we do it.
Yeah. Getting prepared for this episode, we kind of talked about how our core values are the same. We just go about it
on the opposite ends
very different.
The spectrum.
Like we're meeting at the end the same goal, but just how we go about it is just a bit different.
Yeah.
So our core values are family, loyalty, empathy, dependability, integrity. So family for me, we're talking about blood family.
Yeah.
It's me and my kids.
Yeah.
I don't have, the mom, the dad, the aunts, uncles, cousin. I don't have any of that. It's just me and my girls. And then, of course, I have my adopted family, which is Jennifer and her family. But it was ultimately my choice to decide that, man,
to remove yourself.
Yeah, the lifestyles, decision making, things that they weren't feeding my soul. And it was something that was actually very difficult to go through at the time, but also very empowering and liberating to say, this isn't right for me. It's just not right for me. I was born into a family very heavy in women, and my dad was never around. So I guess too, I was just kind of used to people leaving.
Yeah.
And so the people that I do have around, it's this is it.
Yeah.
But you have to have the same type of values, which is why I think that we've worked so well, because we do. But it's
in the family that you choose, we agree, the level of protectiveness over those people.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
My upbringing was just a little bit different. There was family everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
That sounds terrible.
We had adopted family. My parents are actually still together, married today. Super supportive. My mom is probably sharing this podcast the second it's posted.
Oh, for sure.
So on that level where we both have a strong family tie, our upbringing as far as family was very different, which has caused us to see life differently as well.
Yeah.
But at the heart of it, we both are very family oriented, very protective of those we love, which kind of feeds into the loyalty aspect of everything. We're both kind of ride or die.
Yeah.
Once we like you, it's very hard to get rid of us.
Well, I don't know. My cutoff game is on point, man.
Well, this year, yeah.
Well, all right.
But I would say, I meant that in the sense of, we haven't talked to you for 5 years, and I call you and I'm I'm in trouble. You're showing up.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel we have that level of, even of those people that, not necessarily cut off, but, just life has happened and you've been distanced from, to, the loyalty didn't distance itself. You're still loyal to those people even when they're not out of sight. And I feel that
I am not when it comes to my family. I know that sounds
not in that
awful.
I meant friends that you've just drifted apart from. But if somebody called you out of the blue,
for sure.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm absolutely there. I don't know how I can help, but I'll do what I
show up,
can.
Take my earrings out.
And I think that's the thing is having, maybe it's just a part of where I'm at in life right now, people showing up. Not saying you're gonna show up, not, hey, call me, if you need anything. I'm a single mom of 2. Yeah. I need everything. Everything.
That's interesting that you say that, because I struggle with that. Not necessarily the call me if you need something, but I wouldn't want people to show up. So then I'm I do that to other people because I'm okay, well, maybe they're not in a good mindset, or maybe they're not in a good headspace, or maybe they actually the last thing they want today is someone in their house.
Yeah, so the caveat...
I'm that person of where I'm whatever you need, I'm here, but you definitely have to take, the, hey, I'm not okay step with me.
Yeah, and but that's, I guess there's a caveat to me saying, I need you to show up. It's when I'm not ever going to ask you to show up. I'm going to make a huge mental note that you did show up,
Yeah.
you know, but it's going to be very difficult for me to ask for help because
You've been alone so much.
yeah, and I mean, and not only that, I adopted this like mindset of if you want it done, you know, if you want it done right, do it yourself, you know, and I think
which
too,
is hard to come out of.
for sure. And like, and with my foundations, and I'm not going to count on, I don't know if anybody is just fully safe. I think that in my life right now, I think that you're the closest thing to me feeling safe. Well, you are. I feel safe with you. And so, but I honestly can't say I 100% feel safe with anybody else other than you. And, you know, so it's, so where, and I guess that's where we are different, where our values, like we want that.
I would 100% be okay with asking for help. Like, I know off the top of my head, like I could call 15 people and they would all annoyingly show up. And I think maybe that for me is why I'm like, I have so much family that just comes in unannounced. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Like, I love it because I love, like, the big and loud vibe of family, but at the same time, like, when you're just not in the headspace for it, you're not in the headspace for it.
Well, and maybe that's it, but I've not had that, so I don't know. It's very different. Yeah, so it may...
So for you, it's like, I need 15 people.
Yeah, like what?
Start sweeping.
Yeah, I don't know if I have, like, 15 phone numbers I regularly call or text.
Right.
Like, no, not at all.
Well, I mean, like, these wouldn't be regular, but it would be family that I know would show up.
No, not me. I don't,
well,
you know.
You got me.
I know.
I'll show up.
I know.
Which kind of leads into the next core value of empathy. Like, we're both very empathetic people, but again, on different spectrums.
Yeah.
Like, I'm crying at reunion videos.
Ugh.
I cried in church today because someone I knew went up there and I saw them crying, but my eyes, like, couldn't even help it. Like, was super emotional about it.
I don't... Like, I feel empathy for people, and empathy and sympathy. So, like, in my definition of empathy is of understanding where that person's coming from on a personal level. Yeah. Like, sympathy is, I haven't been there yet.
But that sounds tragic.
But man, like, that's got to be hard. You know, that's kind of how I look at it. But for me, you know...
Your empathy is more, I would say, like, third person.
It is, but it's also, I'm kind of a tough love type person where it's like, that really sucks, but get the fuck up.
I will say, though, like, from an empathy standpoint, like, you are the person that, like, will be there and, like, can change your body language and your tone and, be soft. Yeah. But it's not a natural for you.
No, I have to make an effort.
Saved for specific, like, for instance, I had a mommy makeover. That was a gift to myself after my babies, and I had 7 pounds of skin removed. And this thing over here is literally having to change, like, my diapers.
Yeah, and like, it wasn't a question.
What is that thing that was hooked to me? That, like, had my...
The
was
tubes?
It like a tube?
Yeah,
like,
the tubes.
It's draining blood out of my tubes.
It was, like, plasma and all that. Like, I had to hold you up at the, like, at the what do they call it? The checkup.
Yeah, like, I physically could not stand up straight. Yeah. I was, like, hunched over. I was, like,
And
it was not well.
And not one moment did I ever think, oh my God, I'm not doing this. Like, it was just, she told me that she was having the surgery, and it was like, I'm be there. And I think that you were even like,
no, really,
I'll call
it's okay.
you,
like,
you know, if I need something. And I was like, oh no, like,
no,
this is gonna suck. Like
there was, like, some medication that I had to take that was, like, so detrimental to my stomach. Like, I ended up getting an infection and had to go on antibiotics, and they messed up my stomach so bad. And I'm, like, in the bathroom, like, please leave, like, don't listen.
Oh my
and she's
God.
just like,
close your ears. It was awesome.
And she's just like, girl, like, this is, like, normal life. Like, you're fine. And I was, like, dying inside. Be like, please, God. Like, I'm never going to look you in the eye after this. But, like, for you, it was like, what is your issue? Like, I'm here to help. Like, stop being a baby.
Yeah, stop yourself.
Whereas, like, my empathy, I feel like, is very much, like, physically feeling the emotions.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, today, I was in Home Depot, and I was standing there talking to James, and I was like, my chest just started hurting so badly, and I just got so anxious, and I, like, texted you that, and you were like, oh my God, that was my bad, I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, because I had somebody reach out to me that like no contact
Full-on
for
spiraled you,
yeah, for like a few weeks. And
yeah.
because, you know, it's one of those, like, I'm good. And then it's like, bam.
Yeah.
And so, and it was so funny because I wasn't spiraling, but like, it was just that initial like punch to the gut. And I was like, yeah. And then she texted me and she was like, oh my gosh, I just got anxiety. I was like, whoop, sorry. That was me.
And I think I feel that, like, in large, like, it's very hard for me to turn that off. Like, especially, like, in large settings where there's, like, a lot of emotion. Like, it's very rare that I go to church and don't cry. Just because there's so much, like, energy in the room and, like, spiritual movement and, like, people, you know, lives are genuinely changing.
Yeah.
Good or bad. And it's just, like, I feel it.
Yeah, and it's more of, I guess, not to be stereotypical, but I guess it is, where it's just kind of like, life's hard. Like, I've seen the, like, butthole of humanity, you know, and so where it's like people that go through really horrible things, I'm not sitting there like, yep, shake it off.
Yeah.
It's more of a like, yeah, I get it, but what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Like, where?
Well, because you understand that, like, sitting in it isn't gonna get you anywhere.
Yeah.
And, like, movement is how
for sure
you get over things, but a lot of people just struggle with that.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is integrity.
That's an interesting one. What would you consider integrity? Like, are we talking like, for me, integrity would be like who you are when no one's watching.
Yeah, I lay my head down and think I was a good person today. Maybe not all day, but the like collective vibe of my day. Like, I wasn't a serial killer. And be like, and be proud of it, even if it, you know, wasn't, you know, huge and spectacular, but it was it.
Yeah, and I think that's so interesting because you were telling me something last night when we were texting that you thought one of your daughters was like FaceTiming someone.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And you were like, no, never mind, she's just recording herself. And like that made me think, like, I always forget, like, people are watching this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you guys can't see us, obviously, but we're, like, in a closet on the floor recording a podcast, and, like, our kids couldn't be more excited.
Oh, my gosh.
To watch us do something
like the other
that is,
day,
like, so creative, yeah.
When, you know, I mean, at this point, we haven't released our even first, like, introduction. We've released the trailers, but we haven't done the actual, like, introduction. We got... our videos, our trailers have been played over 100 times. We got like a notification saying that. And I told my daughter, and her eyes were like saucers. Like, it might as well have been a million followers, you know? And it was just one of those where it was just like...
It's okay to dream even though we're 37. Yeah.
And I mean...
Well, 39, 37.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry.
Wow. I will have everyone know that I am super excited about the Big 4-0 this year.
I love it.
I am. My 20s, I was married, and my 30s, I had babies and a divorce. So,
and
like...
your 40s are all yours.
40s are going to be badass. Damn it.
So,
okay. So, outside of core values, like with different lifestyles and things like that, I am a do-it-yourselfer. Like, totally, I love repurposing furniture, and if I can fix it, especially, and I'm trying not to be this way, but I'm becoming that single mom, like that single woman of, like, I don't need no man to do it. But then, like,
just in case any of you guys are curious, I would hire 10 before I would do it myself.
Yeah, but then there's that other where it's like, I kind of wish that a man would do it.
Yeah.
But I'm proud to be able to be like, I built that.
Yeah.
You know.
There are some things, because, like, I'm maybe not so much a DIY, like, you're not going to find me repurposing, like, dressers, but you like that, like, into vibe. Like, you love that, like, things that have stories and a history.
Yeah, but also making things pretty that aren't, you know?
But, like, making things, like, with your hands that you can be proud of, I think is that, like, accomplishment of, like, I did that and I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, like, I love art. I love painting. I love... Not walls. Like, let's get that straight.
See, and then I'm like, I'll paint my own walls.
Oh, no.
I'll, like, hang wallpaper.
No.
I'll add, like, chair rail.
No. Mm-mm.
But so it's so funny. Like, it's like we pick and choose the sides, but we do, like, have very different styles too. So
Yeah.
it's funny when she's like, "Oh my gosh, I love this. Like, what do you think?" And I'm like, that's so great for you.
Yeah.
Like, love that for you."
Yeah, because you're fancy-fied, and I'm more...
Well, not only that, I'm like much more pink. And
Oh,
like,
yeah. For sure.
and that is just like, my youngest is just like, "Oh, Mom, it's 10 out of 10 cringe." And I'm like, her fault. Like, I love
Yeah.
it. I think kind of going into like, I think in general, people wonder about our friendships, just like moms at our kids' school, because we have very different mannerisms of how we carry ourselves and interact
Yeah.
with other moms as well. I'm much more of a like, it's easier to go along,
Yeah.
and you're much more, I'd rather eat a jean jacket.
Yes. Yes. I'd rather wear a like full-on jean outfit, like, you know, bedazzled
Yeah.
than, yeah. And it's not, it's just, I think I go back again to like, I like my tribe small, and it's
Yeah.
because there's less threat. There's less
Yeah.
of a threat. And not saying, I have mom friends that are like acquaintances and, you know, things, and I've done better. I think that
Yeah.
I've done better opening up a little bit more, but
Well, I think you've been intentional about it this year, and like understanding
Yeah.
that life can be lonely when you don't
oh,
have
for
a
sure.
village.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't necessarily need to be a man, but like
Right.
a community.
Yeah, and but then it's just that creeping up thing of like, it's hard to ask for help. It's just
Yeah.
so hard.
Well, and it's hard in our society as well, because being a single mom and then going to a
Yeah.
private school, which isn't predominantly Christian,
Yeah.
is, you're kind of shunned, and that's kind of not.
Oh, it was awful. Like,
not
the divorce
the-
was awful for
Yeah.
like that community for sure.
Yeah, and it's hard too, because it's like me saying that I'm a Christian person and then being friends with some of these Christians' moms that are equally judging.
Yeah.
One of my friends is like, that's really like, do you guys know what you read?
Like,
and,
who
like,
are you?
see? And, like,
yeah. Like,
is
you
that
have
just
no
for
idea
Sunday?
what you're
Like-
talking about. Yeah. And I mean, and that's fine. And I think
I feel like you're comfortable with that, but like, that's still, like, you expect it almost, where it still makes me very angry.
yeah, I've gotten, I think that I've always, well, no, not, I won't say always, but in my 30s, I became that I don't care what
Yeah.
you think. Like, I don't. Like, you don't pay my bills.
Yeah.
You're not coming to offer to help.
Yeah.
Like, you're not showing up. So it's kind of like, what? Like,
Yeah.
what? You know, and I think that I have a little bit loosened up the chip on my shoulder when it comes to other people. I have been more open to letting other people in, ish.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that that's kind of my personality too. Like, I really like the fullness of having good conversations with
Yeah.
people, of really understanding who they are to their core. Because I learn from differences. Because, you know, like I've said before, if we're all the same, it's boring. It's
Yeah.
so boring. Like, I don't want someone else that is exactly like me. I get on my nerves sometimes. Like, I need something different.
You need someone who's not like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the stigma is for single mom. You know, for me, let me just say it. Single moms, oh, they're automatically hoes. Let me tell you something. And not saying that there aren't some.
There are definitely some.
There
But
are.
I wouldn't even say they're single moms. There are some married women
For
that are.
sure.
and, like,
there,
just-
yeah.
Just go on record, and
Yeah.
she doesn't want your man.
Well, that's the thing is that, you know, because I'm a single mom, I'm automatically looking for a man. You know, it's been, 3 or 4 years since my divorce. And I just started dating.
Yeah.
Like, within the last year, I've just started dating. It's been disastrous.
Yeah.
But...
And she's done dating.
and I'm done dating. But, I mean, but that's the thing is, like, I took the time to
Yeah.
really have
Process,
my
yeah.
fall apart. I was a mess. I mean, I really was. And I was on display. And
To make judgment.
Yeah, and I
some of
was
them have
like-
held on to it.
yeah, and they did, but at the time I was so broken
Yeah.
coming out of what I was coming out
Well,
of.
and then you went from that, and we went straight into a pandemic
yeah.
where no one was okay.
Well, yeah, and so one thing that is going to make me not be attracted attracted to another man immediately if he has someone else, like girlfriend, like possible lover, definitely wife,
someone
like
who calls you daily,
or even like a baby mama where things are not like that fully resolved and things like that. Like I immediately, there is something natural in my body that is like, ew, like, like they're not attractive to me at all. And so it's like what I was telling you, that there is a meme out there that's perfect where it's like, girl, I do not want your man. Most of the time I'm wondering why you want your man,
Well, yeah, because you get to see a different perspective than everybody else not being married as well, too.
and it's like, you people forget. I was you for almost 2 decades. Like, I just made a decision that was for my life, what was better for my life. Was it hell on earth? Yeah, it was hell on earth. It was I was married to my best friend in the whole world, and then that ended. Like, that's the other thing that I don't understand is that, in some marriages, although I think that it's TV and social media and all that, where it's just like, oh, fuck him and like, no, like,
go be happy. Go live
your life. Go, like, and that was the thing, is that it was just like, I am uprooting everybody's life in my family of 4. Like, I am doing this. And so it's like, make that count. And so that's, that's why I was very, concentrated on myself. And
one thing I feel like you do get a break on, which is not saying much because it's not even really a break, it's actually more work, but I do feel like as a single mom you get a pass being a working mom. And I feel like more, we live in the South, and in the South there is a lot more stay-at-home moms. There's a lot more moms that have that luxury. And I am trying my darndest to be a trophy wife.
Well,
but it's not in the cards for me, and it wasn't something when I was younger that I wanted. And I did do the college thing, and I have 2 pieces of paper, and was an overachiever. And now I'm like, you know what? At that time, that was what was right for me. But there's a lot of guilt from being split in so many directions.
For sure.
Especially because we started homeschooling my oldest this year, and like you said, like, I still have that mentality, like, I need to do it for it to be done right. And so then I don't have enough time to do that, and then I want to be doing this and following my dreams with you and showing my girls what that looked like, but then I'm also getting another degree and in school, and it's just, there's just not enough of me. And sometimes I get that, especially being room moms and overbooking myself. And
well, and I mean, it was recently, I remember, I mean, and I even looked at you when you were explaining this to me, like, what are you doing? Like, because it was like, I think there was like a party or something at school, or like some kind of something where, like,
well, and that is hard for me because there's nothing in me that's just gonna drop it if someone doesn't do it. Like, if someone doesn't do it, I'm doing it. And it's not even like nobody will do it, so I'm gonna do it. It's like, no, my kid is never gonna feel that someone didn't show up for her. Like, it's gonna be me. If it's no one else,
it's gonna be me. Sorry. I'm sorry.
We did that at prayer group the other night. Somebody was talking about like a serious conversation of like, hey, like, I want to work on my identity and myself, and we were always like, and he said it's gonna be me, and like 5 of us was like, it's gonna be me.
I love that.
Derailed us for 30 minutes.
Well, I think, so, I mean, that's the other thing, too. So, like, religion for us
is very different. We're both spiritual. We both believe in spirituality and a higher power. But it's on different spectrums.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the church. Man, I was going, 3 times a week. I was a missionary in Mexico. But I had something really awful happened to me, at a very young age. I was 16, and I was essentially ousted from my church that I'd been with since I was, since I came here. And I mean, that was horrible, and it was over me breaking up with my boyfriend at 16. And essentially the church taking sides. And that, for me, which stereotypically people will say, well, people, they go to church and then they act however they want to during the week and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Go back and pray.
Yeah, but I felt that on a very personal level, and it was detrimental for me. You know, it was because that was, you know, my life, and those were the people. You know, when on weekends we did lock-in, you know, camping trips and things like that. But so now for me, I'm more spiritual. I do practice astrology, but not in the like TikTok way or the like Facebook way of, you know, all the cutesy stuff. Like, to me, the way I view it is that I worship God, period. End of story. Like, that's it. I feel that church and the Bible are tools that God has given us. And those tools don't work for me, but I feel that astrology is more of a map for me to kind of navigate this life and, you know, the life that I've been given by God. And I feel that God has put astrology here for people like me to use that as a tool to stay very connected to Him. And so, but I mean, also, you know, our kids go to a very prominent Christian school,
which is predominantly like Church of Christ.
Yeah,
is the main belief system.
Yeah, and so, and my kids, you know, I don't go in. I mean, they know that I do astrology. They know, you know, about prayer and, you know, things like that, and you know, but I guess kind of around when you started going to the church that you go to now, my girls were kind of like, well, hey, like, what is that about? And they'd been asking for a while to go to church. It was really heavy on my heart because it was kind of like, I always want to be authentic for my children. And so I want them to understand that we all have different belief systems, just in life in general.
Well,
but
in general, they have a choice.
Yeah, and they have a choice. And so, but I don't want my beliefs to be thrown on it, forced. Yeah. So like they started asking about going to church and things like that. And so then when Jennifer started going to her church, you know, my girls were like, hey, like kind of interested in going. And so every now and then, you know, they'll say they want to go to church with Jennifer. I'm totally supportive. I've never been late. Never been late whenever
that is one of our other differences. I'm half an hour early, she's on time.
I'm if not a half an hour late.
And I think, like, just jumping back into religion, I think our upbringings kind of started the same, where like I grew up when my parents were the most religious. Like everything had a consequence, essentially. Like things were very strict. You were, you know, supposed to dress a certain way, act a certain way, wear certain clothes. And then I struggled when I got older, probably out of high school, college age, with just the same kind of thing, like that hypocriticalness of like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm hanging out with these people when they're not at church, and like, there's nothing godly about them.
Right.
And so then I'm like, well, I would say, like, you know, long story short, the shortest version is like my faith was in people. Like my faith was, you know, like this is how God acts, how these people act. And there were people put in my life and around me that should not have been. And there were things that happened to me that I still struggle with. Like today, just some of the thought patterns and belief systems that were meant to like shame and guilt you instead of teach you that God is a loving Father and God is in open arms and, you know, things like that. And so it was not until even last year, like my husband and I have not, like we kind of made that decision of like, we're just going to live our lives. And, you know, our kids are getting God at school and, you know, that was enough. And then probably around the same time as your girls, because we started like January last year.
Right.
We made a conscious decision like, hey, there's a real calling on our hearts and we need to, you know, get into a community that has the same beliefs and the core values and, you know, believes the same way we are. And we found this church and their motto is, you know, I can't even remember the motto, it just left my head, but it's something that, I remember it says we're not perfect people, we're forgiven people.
And
it was like a light bulb for me, because it was just one of those things of like, I try so hard to be perfect for what? I'm forgiven. You know what I mean? Like and I still struggle with it because, like, sometimes for me, like, it is, like, a control thing, I think. But I also just like nice things and pretty things. So, like, half of it is just me being creative. But the other part of it is, like, I want to make people happy and I want to have a calling, and I kind of want to find where that is religious standpoint. So, and I think some of the core differences that we have, like, you're okay with how you talk and you're, swearing and things, and I'm, trying to do better with that. And that's just where we are. Like,
Yeah.
if that's not right for her, then that's not right for her. Like, me forcing it or asking her not to do it or anything that, it's just not authentic.
And it flies out of my mouth. Like,
yeah.
And I think that, too, whenever I'm consciously trying not to, it's worse. It's so much worse.
Well, and I think, too, that's not something that you feel is a problem.
That's what somebody explained to me. Who made them bad words?
Yeah.
Like, and who declared?
And I get that, and I understand that, because they come out easy for me too, and it's something that I have to, like, vividly work at.
Yeah.
Because I do kind of have, like, a hot temper, but I think too, because I'm so people pleasing, like, there is that, like, explosion within me where it's like 18 years of things versus, like, me calmly and rationally dealing with things.
And I had somebody once say, you'd sound much smarter if your mouth was such filth.
Interesting.
And it was more of, like, me thinking, you are so short-sighted.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's getting in your way of seeing me as an intelligent person.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I work in construction, which is historically not a swear-free environment.
No.
But I think that's just something that I want for me.
Yeah.
And it's just something, like, that is just part of something that I want, a person who I want to be this year. Like, that's the vibe that I want. And I think that the reason, like, our relationship works is because, like,
I'll swear for us.
Yeah, I could, but also, like, we're both very accepting of, like, the weirdest things.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, hey, like, I don't want to tie my shoes ever again. And you're like, it happens. Like,
actually,
like,
okay, but I say it happens a lot because it does.
Yeah.
Because I'm more of the mindset where I'm finally at this place where when things happen and there's no coming out of it the same, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is happening now, is what it is. It's
Yeah.
happening for a reason. That person was put in my life for a reason, or this thing happened for a reason. It is what it is.
And I think I would like to take credit for some of that.
For sure.
Because
For sure.
when I first met you, the world ended daily.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
Yeah.
asteroids from the sky.
Yeah.
The world was over.
Yeah.
And you guys will find out, and this is really interesting that we're talking about it right after we just talked about Jesus, because Jesus is working on this with me. But I find things that are not supposed to be funny. And, like,
I had a 911 career for over a decade, and
so we have very dark humor.
Yeah.
And not in the sense of, like, we're not condoning serial killers, not that dark, but, like,
not today.
things that you're not supposed to laugh at publicly, we probably cry laughing
Oh my
at.
gosh, it's the worst when it's done in public and you're not supposed to
You're not supposed to
Oh
laugh.
yeah, we are the ones for
Don't look at us.
Don't
look at us.
sit with us at a funeral.
Don't sit.
We are not allowed in the front row.
No. No.
Especially
at our kids' programs.
Yeah, no.
We've actually been banned from that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
put that down
Got
somewhere.
in trouble.
But, like, I think the thing that really makes our differences kind of, like, mesh together is we are just trying. And we found a way to find the humor in life together and laugh and just be there. Like, and I feel like that's kind of why it works. And
judging someone based on the fact that they're different from you, that absolutely fuels distrust for the world.
And, like, somebody else is already doing it. Like, save it for somebody else. Like, you go be the person that, like, sits next to the mom with the mean face.
Yeah, and how awful, too, is it that, like, you go anywhere, I mean, well, and I'll be honest, like, I hate even admitting this, to be honest. Like, any school stuff, like, where I'm just like, God, I've got to go to this, because
that's hard because they've all watched you go through a divorce. So there was a time where people kind of pick sides, And then there were some things that were like done in front of your face that people actively kept from you and should have spoke up about.
Well, and there's just like things, I mean, like I'm still talked about and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like,
that's not nice. Stop doing that if you're doing it.
But no, it's one of those of what is frustrating for me, because I have come to such a great place within myself. It's hard that I'm not able to go to a podium and be like, I don't think of you.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you're this way and, like, have continued to be this way.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're talking about. And
well, and it's really frustrating, too, because I think from, like, my empathy standpoint and, like, your empathy standpoint is, like, we can trade places with people so fast.
Oh, for sure. Even people that I don't like, if I've heard something awful, I'm not like, oh, good. I'm like, oh, man. That sucks.
But I think that is one of the things that frustrates you about me, is that the second I can see their point of view, I'll give in.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I will compromise. I will fold.
Yes.
And she's like, no, that's not what that means to do. Like,
yes.
Even a detriment to myself, which is something that is actively, like, my goal this year was to stop managing other people's emotions.
Okay, so tips on dealing with the differences now. So
put yourself in other people's shoes and be nice to people.
Yeah.
Be nice.
I think the number one thing, though, and because I experienced it personally, is that a lot of people who are judgmental, who are like the mean girl or like the one that likes to fuel the gossip and stuff like that, there is a void in themselves. And like, meaning like there is a void of self-love.
That expression, like, hurt people.
Yeah, for sure. Because they do. I did. I mean, like, I know, like, in high school and probably like for a while in my 20s, I was an asshole. Like, I was not, like, emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
I mean, me being a nice person most of the time, you know, and I was sad, and I mean, and it's so funny.
We would have never been friends in high school.
No.
I was such a pushover. Like, everyone told me.
I was me. I ripped somebody's prom dress at the prom because I know I stepped on the back of it. Ugh, I'm sorry. I feel so bad, and I think about this often. I know. I can't even remember her name. I know, but she had talked to my boyfriend. They had a class together.
On the back of her dress.
Yeah, and it ripped, and
I'm glad that still bothers you. That was mean.
It does, and I was mean, but looking back, you know what was going on in my life at that time. Not excusing, but full disclosure, I am not excusing, but it's going back and being able to recognize I was unhappy.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, hurt people.
Yeah.
And I think, too, that for a while in my marriage, I wasn't happy. I wasn't, you know, I wanted to be. And I
think we get in that mentality, too, of like, well, when I get this. Well, when this happens.
Yeah.
Well, when this next step happens.
Yeah.
Then it'll, like, everything will just fall in place.
And it's not, it doesn't. So,
no one's coming to save you.
No. And so I think that that's where it really starts with, of like looking at yourself and being able to look in the mirror and love what you're seeing.
Well, it's so like elementary too, but like count to 10 before you respond to people. We're not perfect. We're not going to sit here and tell you we don't make mistakes and that we're not mean girls and haven't had mean girl moments.
Like, we listen and we judge a little bit.
But to ourselves as well.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, that judgment isn't an end-all be-all, like, wearing that skirt to that, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we're not going to not be friends with you. In fact, like, if we become friends and be like, girl, that skirt that you were, that was not okay, you know. So but I think it's more stuff like that. But people who are genuinely mean and nasty, like, to their core, and you can tell who those people are, I'm going to have a harder time opening up. But if they ever came to me or I found out something horrific happened to them or, like, they were going through something, I am secure in myself to know that I would feel bad. I would feel bad for them, and I would probably send up a little, like, prayer of, like, and I hope that works out for everybody, you know, kind of thing. I probably won't say it to their face.
I'd make them, like, a little gift basket.
Oh, God help us all. Shit. Not me. gift basket on how to be a better person from me. Love, Danielle.
It's like all just critiques of notes of like indoor parking's bad. Work on that too.
Yes. But yeah, so learn from your differences. Love yourself, learn from the differences, practice empathy and sympathy.
And please understand, we're practicing all these things with you. We're
Yeah.
not sitting here on a high horse expecting you to think that we're the example here. We're just out here trying to do better, trying to be better, and figuring out what that means for us, really.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, because I see too, like, there's other moms that don't have our mentality, like, that I've seen, you know.
And that's hard for you to be friends with them.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be friends with them. But then I'll say on the other extreme, though, moms that have my attitude of, like, I don't give a crap, like, what you think. But then they provoke it on purpose. Yeah. I can't get behind that, and I think that's it. Like, just be authentic, be yourself.
I feel like I don't know, like, I have all different kinds of mom friends.
I don't,
but I have like, this sounds bad, but it's not meant bad, but like, I just have boxes for people, and like, everybody's welcome. You just go into you're filtered into a box.
See, I have boxes for people, and you need to check, like, those boxes need to be checked off.
It's like a club.
Yeah, like, you need to have these checked. And but I'm kind of the same way with you, but I have, like, different tiers.
Yeah.
So, like...
So you have, like, a hierarchy.
Yeah, like...
And I just have, classrooms.
Yeah, I'm going to call this one to go to a bar. Like, because I've had a hard week. I want to go...
Friends for, like, different things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm your friend when you want to sit on the couch.
No, you're my friend every day.
Well, I know, but, like, we've learned that, like, if it's after 8 p.m., I'm not going.
Oh, for sure.
Unless it's your birthday.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. You're not going to a bar unless it's my birthday.
Unless
like,
it's your birthday. Yeah.
You know, I mean, but yeah, and so it's okay. Like, again, it doesn't have to be.
But again, like,